exciting news. Hopefully you guys can all help me. I hit 300 subscribers on YouTube today, and I'm very excited about it. If you guys would like to add to that list, there is my YouTube name for my channel and the playlist podcast that I upload my videos to. You can take a second and go over and smash that subscribe button and help me out. It would be fantastic. Today is going to be part 3 of our cat shrug. And no, it's not a shrug for cats. It is a crocheted shrug that is made with the cat stitch, the crocheted cat stitch. So far, for the past couple of days, we have done the first couple parts of the tutorial, and they have been working the cuff, working up the sleeve, and now we are at the point where we are at the center and the back. And we're going to try to kind of even out the top of our stitches for our seam, and then start our other sleeve. And I'm just making some coffee. Well, hopefully you guys are all heading over to my YouTube channel and increasing my subscriber count. So far, I'm at 300. See how many more subscribers I can get by the end of the day. That would be fantastic. I would love it. Okay, so I have everything, a little bit of everywhere today. I'm working with my pink and my gray. So far, no, I do not have all my ends woven in. This is the beginning of our shrug, or bolero. Bolero is actually the technical term, not technical, but the actual term for the garment. And it is basically a scarf with the ends sewn up like sleeves that you wear across your back. So you would put your sleeves on. So it's basically a pair of crocheted sleeves. So you would put your sleeves on, and the back part comes across your back, and they call it a shrug because it sits just over your shoulders, like you shrug your shoulders, sits right over your shoulders. So that's what this is, and you can see the stitches in there are all made to look like cats. So Monday we did the cuffs and we started our sleeves. Tuesday we finished our sleeves and we split our cats so that we could start our scarf part. Hello, Cindy. And now we are at the part where we are in the center of our back. And I think I made this just a little bit too long because I don't want it to fall off. And I don't want it, the acrylic that I'm using, acrylic, when you use it, it tends to grow a little bit. So I don't know. I can't tell if this is like the perfect size or if it's just a little bit too big. But I think I'm going to call it maybe the perfect size since it will loosen up a little bit. I should be trying it on with my tank top. It depends. If I try it on with my tank top and my bare arms, then it seems to be a little bit big. If I try it on with my long sleeve shirts, it seems to be a little snug. So I think I might actually keep it where it is. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to keep it where it is. So that's how that would look. And now we're going to work up the center. And then once we work like an even row across the center, that's going to be where our seam is to join them. And we will start working the second sleeve the same way we did the first sleeve so that they meet in the middle. And so our directional stitch, our cat heads are going one way and our feet are going the other way. So our directional stitches work the same way from both sides to meet in the middle. Uh, yeah, that's usually when I would wear them. I would wear them when it was a little bit warmer and then maybe got chilly at night, just to cover my arms a little bit. But this is actually pretty heavy. It's pretty thick. It's not as fluffy and or lacy as this one is. This one's a little bit lacier and definitely meant for warmer weather. This one is much thicker, worked with the regular acrylic yarn, and it's not quite so lacy. I mean, it is, but not quite as lacy as that is. So, how are you this morning, Cindy? I don't know if you heard. I hit 300 subscribers on YouTube this morning. I was so excited. I have here's my playlist / podcast there. If I can move everything out of the way, I can move it to where it can be seen. There you go. I know, I was really excited. Good, I'm glad to hear you're good this morning. All right. So now I have to figure out, I want this row to look like the cats, but I don't quite want to make another full row of cats. I just kind of want to even off the top of it. I am good. I actually slept most of the night, which made my morning, I guess. I still wake up groggy, but it is what it is. All right. I know I have the end of this here. I know. I got like 6.5 hours of sleep. I was really excited. That's been really, really rare. I woke up at like, I don't know, I think I finally fell asleep around 11 o'clock, and I slept for about an hour, and I woke up around midnight, and I was so mad that I got up and picked my book back up and sat and read for an hour and ate a half a box of ice cream sandwiches and went back to bed. So I don't know if like my body just needed the sugar or the calories or whatever, but or if it just happened to be a night I was going to sleep, but yeah. Not that I need to admit that, but yeah, I got up at midnight and ate a half a box of ice cream sandwiches. They were good too. I don't regret that. Especially not since I slept all night. All right. Just starting off with our slip stitch. Let me move my camera back a little bit. I know, right? My husband went to the store. He's like, you want ice cream sandwiches and, oh, stuffing, because I was making turkey yesterday. And he's like, do you want, I said, please buy 2 boxes. He's like, 2 boxes of what? Stuffing or ice cream sandwiches? Because my kids wanted ice cream. So does he. We all want ice cream. I said both. So he bought like a giant box of regular ice cream sandwiches, and then he bought like a smaller box of like Neapolitan ones, and I sat and ate probably 5 or 6 ice cream bars yesterday. We won't talk about that anymore. All right. So I want to even this out, and they kind of look like shelves, but at the same time, they're almost straight across. So I think what I'm going to do is, and I want to keep to my 50 stitches. So 50 stitches is what I started with. So you're going to keep to it. 'Tis the season, that's right. You're going to start to whatever you started with on this row here. So I started with 50. So after I did my cuff, I started my base single crochet on the top of my cuff with 50. My cats worked, it's multiples of 5, so 50 gave me 10 cats around. So I kind of want to keep to 50 stitches across the back so that it's not longer in the center. It just stays the same. So if I count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I knew that. So I need to work in multiples of 5s again. So I'm going to start with this very end stitch here, and I'm start working from my right side. And I think, let me figure this out first. I'm going to slip stitch, and I'm not going to count that as my first. Oh, maybe I will. So I'm going to count that as my first. I see I don't want to double crochet there though. So let me try joining that with maybe a single crochet. So I'm going to join it with a single crochet just on the top of our double crochet from the row. And then we want to make our foot here. So the extended double crochet is the same as we've been doing, yarn over, not in this top stitch, not in this top hole, but in hole beneath it, from the round beneath it, or row beneath it. You're going to insert your hook, you're going to grab your yarn, and you're going to pull it up just to the top of that, where that single crochet is, so your loops are even on your stitch. So you can see from the front, that loop from the front is longer to extend up. And then yarn over and through two, and this is a cluster, so we're going to do two together. So we're not going to finish the first stitch, we're just going to yarn over and do that part of the stitch. Same way I pulled my loops up even, I'm going to yarn over and through two, and then I have 3 loops left, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So I'm going to count that as 1. And then I am going to just single crochet in my double crochets. So that's 2, 3. I'm going to skip my chain 1 space. 4, 5. Okay, so not counting the very end stitch, which I'm not going to count where we joined it. I'm just counting our foot and the single crochets that we did over the top of our head, because I want to make sure I work in multiples of 5 for this one, so that this 2 together now. Why aren't I joining the 2 together now? Well, I'm not joining the 2 together quite yet, because I have the top of the cat heads that are more like shells. And I want to do 1 row to kind of even those shells out. So I'm going to do 1 row to even those shells out, so I have a straighter, like this is just shells. So this will give me a straighter edge for my center. And then I will do, hey Samantha, and then I will do the same thing on the other sleeve with the same color, and then join it in the center, so that I have like a smooth, straighter stitch line to work with, instead of like the shells. So it kind of like pulls it together. It kind of like finishes the one part, and then when you do the second sleeve, it'll finish the second part, and then you stitch the finished parts together. So just working in the multiples of 5. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do my extended stitch down here. So far all we did was join in the top of our double crochet at the end, and we counted our first leg, our first legs, as our first stitch, and then we only double crocheted in the double crochets. So this counts as 1, and then 2, 3, we skipped the chain 1 space, 4, 5. So that's going to give me my multiples of 5 again, which is what I want, so that I end up with my 50 stitches, which were the same 50 stitches that I started with across here. 1 second. Thought I heard somebody pulling my driveway. It's not studio, it's real life here. Makes sense, good. Okay. So I have my first 5 stitches there. Again, I'm not going to count this very end stitch. I'm just counting the leg and the 4 stitches over the shell. So I'm not going to make enough. I'm going to make another leg now. So the same thing, my extended crochet. So I pull my loop up so that everything's even. And this time, since I'm not working the shell, I just want to pull it up to where the single crochet is. So when you extend your stitches, you just want to extend it to your stitch line. So if I were doing a double crochet, I would pull that loop up much further to meet my double crochet, but I'm only doing a single this time. So I'm just pulling it up to meet my single crochet, and I actually just pulled that really loose. So I'm going to pull that up through those 2 stitches, through those 2 loops, yarn over, back in that bottom, not the top one, but the bottom one. Pull it back up through the first 2, and then through all 3. So I'm going to count that as 1, and then I'm going to do 2, 3. I'm going to skip my chain 1 space. I'm going to do 4, 5. So that's 2. Whoops. 3. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip the chain 1 space. 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And by the time I do 10 across 10 cat heads, I should have my oh, I kind of have to do it in the center there to separate the ears. Alright, let me think about that now, because that kind of looks, I mean, it kind of gives me a head, but it doesn't give me the head that I want. And for those of you that are new here, this is like my process. So I'm going through my process. So now I have to rethink this. So I'm going to do 1, okay. So I'm still doing my stitches. Let me do the next leg and see what that looks like. I'm still doing my multiple 5 stitches. I just put them in a different place so that it looks more cat-like with the ears. Okay, so this is what I did. So instead of just working in the double crochets and skipping the center stitch, which didn't really give me the definition for the ears, I worked in the first double crochet, I skipped the second one, I did 2 stitches in the space, skipped one, and then did another one. Or did I skip one first? I don't know. Either way, it's going to work out. So I'm going to skip the first stitch. So this counts as 1. And then I'm going to skip my double crochet, single crochet into the next double crochet. That gives me 2. I'm going to 2 single crochets into the top of the head. That gives me 3, 4. And I'm going to single crochet into the very next double crochet. That gives me my multiples of 5. And that looks much better. That gives me more of a pointed, it's hard to tell, but it gives me more of my pointed ear look, like I have down here. So it gives me like more of the pointed ear look with the definition in between the ears. Alright, I like that better. So again, I just did my extended crochet,
not into the first one, my extended double, and it's a cluster, so I'm going to do a second one. Then I'm going to pull it together. I'm going to skip the first double crochet. I'm going to single crochet into the next double crochet. I'm going to 2 single crochets into my chain 1 space. I'm going to single crochet into the very next double crochet, and that gives me 4 across the top of the head, plus the arm gives me 5, and that will give me much more of a pointed ear look. So that's how we're going to do. That's how we're going to do that. It still gives us our straighter edge, because we're going to do one more row here. It still gives us our straighter edge, and it makes those ears look a little bit more pointed than if we skip the centers. Meow meow, I like the ears. Thank you. I'm just going through because I never know if I'm missing things or not. I appreciate all the likes. Thank you guys. Love the ears. Okay, so now I know I have my multiples of 5, and I know I like them much better like that, split in the center. So you can see them a little bit better, split in the center. So now I'm just going to keep working across. I'm going to count my first stitch as my first stitch is going to be my extended double for my legs. That's 1. I'm going to skip the first double crochet. I'm going to double crochet stitch number 2, and then in my chain 1 space I'm going to single crochet my 3 and 4, number 3 and 4 stitch, and then I'm going to pull this over, and I'm going to make sure I get in that very next double crochet. That gives me 5 double crochets across that cat head. And I'm just going to keep working across like that, and that way I'll get the same number of stitches across up the back as I had. Yeah, that looks much better. The same number of stitches across the down the back, however you want to say it, as I had when I started my sleeve. Alrighty, so just working my way across. My leg counts as stitch number 1, skip my double, work my single crochet in the next double, 2 single crochets in that chain 1 space. And again, these are US standard terms, so my single crochet is going to be insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. And then I'm just going to cinch that over there and make sure I get in that very first double crochet, and that gives me again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. 5 stitches. And I'm just going to work across. Just like I did. 3, 4, 5. Not through this one, through this one. Count that as 1, 2, 2 in my chain 1 space up here, 3, 4. When you do that, make sure you slide these over so that you can get to that first double crochet on the other side. Because sometimes if you do those 2 stitches in that chain 1 space, it'll kind of cover that. Just kind of slide them over so that you get that space there. And then just down again and pulled my loop loose. I'm almost at the end. skip my first double, do my second stitch. It's 2, 3, 4, make sure I'm getting in the next one, 5, and again my leg counts as 1, skip my first double, that's 2, in my chain space, it's 3 and 4, scrunch them over so I can get into my next double, that's 5, almost at the end, 1, skip the next one, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that I think of it, we are going to have extra stitches because we had to create extra stitches when we split it, if that makes sense. Good morning, Serena. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to finish this off with my last leg. So my last leg, I'm going to make my last leg the same way I did, not in this one but this one, and do my extended. I'm holding this up here so that I don't pull it too tight. It's my last leg, and then I'm just going to single crochet in that last stitch there. Now if I did it right, if I have 10 cats, that should give me 50 stitches. I'm not going to count this stitch over here. I probably should. And this one gives me 51. So the beginning stitch gives me 51. But you can barely see that beginning stitch because we joined it with a single crochet. Hey Janie, good morning. Getting my stitch markers. So that was 1. So if I did 10 cats, this gives me 51 because it was an extra one because we counted our legs as stitch number 1. So if I come to here, to right here, that gives me my 51 stitches. That's 52 and 53. So I want is that right? Yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 51, 52, 53. Okay. So now for my next row, I am going to chain 1 and turn. So that's the work that I've done so far. You can see it splits our ears there. I want to decrease the stitches on the side. So the extra stitches that I had to do on this side were definitely these 2 stitches. So I'm going to decrease over those 2 stitches because I just don't want it to be too, like, I don't want it to be pointed in the back. I want it to come straight across. So I kind of have to gather them together, which is kind of what we did anyway when we did the shells. When we did the shells and the legs, if you actually make your stitch count from your shells, because this is 5 and this is 6. So when you actually do a correct stitch count, you're doing more stitches in this row than you're doing in this row to begin with. And we just kind of pulled it together by not doing that shell and just pulling them together. So I did decrease the first 2 just so it's right over top of my foot. So my first stitch is going to be counted as right over top of my foot. So I decreased the last single crochet and the cluster I made into one stitch. And then I'm going to work across, just single crochet in each single crochet. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, straight across. And again, I'm going to count my cluster as 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is just single crochet, 5. I'm going to single crochet my cluster. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we want to do multiples of 5. Cluster is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into my cluster is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See how it's like straight across? Into my cluster is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into my cluster is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my next cluster I count is my first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost at the end. And my cluster is 1. Hi Arlene. Hi Cindy. And my cluster is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into my cluster is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to have one extra stitch. That's inevitable because I had to split it, so I had to have like an extra stitch to split. So far I have 50 stitches, and I have the very last, because if you count this as 1, when we did our rounds, for our sleeves and we split them, get all my strings out of the way here. I should have tied them in yesterday. When we did our rounds, this is like the center of our rounds. We have one cat paw. But when we came up here when we came up here to split them so that we had equal cats on equal sides, we had to make 2 feet in there so that we could give our last cat the foot. So we had to increase that by 1 stitch. So we had to take this 1 stitch and make it 2 stitches so that we could spread our cats apart. This does not sound right at all. And give each cat a foot. I hope that made sense, because I don't think I want to say those words and explain that again. So I am down to some days. My coffee's still sitting on my coffee maker. I haven't even finished it. So I'm down to my last leg and my beginning stitch. And I'm going to do the same thing I did over here and just do that as a decrease over my last leg and my beginning stitch. So I will have 51 stitches. Now, could I, while I've done this, if I wanted to make it a perfect 50 stitches, could I have measured the middle and then just did another decrease in the middle and it would have given me my perfect 50 stitches? Yeah, but that 1 stitch really isn't going to make that big of a difference. So now I have like my perfect straight edge. And if I put two of those together, so if I measure this and I put two of these together, it's kind of going to be the size of two of these shells. So this is two single crochet. The height of two single crochets will typically give me the height of one double crochet. And since I'm going to do this on the same side, when I do my sleeve coming this way, I'm going to do it on the same side. I don't want the seam in the center to be, I do want it to divide the kittens. I'll call them kittens. I do want them to divide the kittens, but I don't want it to be quite as large as that row, that whole row. Oh, thank you very much, Arlene. So I want it to be just a little bit smaller in the center. So this gives me the height of one double crochet, which would be one shell. And when I work from this way to this way and do the same thing on the other side, it's going to give me, it's going to be the same color because we're going to do identical sides. This is going to be straight down the back. It's going to give me another double crochet, which is going to give me the equivalent of two shells. And I think that will be more than sufficient as a division for our cats. So we'll have this like this, and then feet go this way, and then feet will go this way. Hey, Stephanie. You're early. I need some advice. I actually slept all night. Because if I get up in the middle of the night, a lot of times like I'll like come on and you'll see me like just start to like troll through. But you managed? Well, that's good. Sometimes all you have to do is just think it through. Oh, thank you, Trudy. So that's our straight edge, and that's where I'm going to end it. With those two rows for that center. And I have just way too many ends to even think about at this point. But because they are right on the edge, and because of the way I started every row on the right side, every new color I started on my right side again, I should be able to just crochet over those ends as I go. So it shouldn't be too bad. So that is my first sleeve. My first sleeve. And actually, because of the cats, if you wanted to wear them like, you know, like they wear them now with the thumb holes, you got like a thumb hole in it. You can do that if you wanted to. And then I have all the way across, and I have no idea what this looks like or how centered I am in my camera here. And then you have your seam down your back. So, yeah, I don't mind the thumb hole either. And it could actually be as long as you wanted it, if you wanted to bring it down here too. But yeah, look at that. Automatic thumb holes. Accidental. I like that. So yeah, that's our first part. And that will come to the center, of my back. And at that point, guess what we have to do now? Make another sleeve. So I did start my second sleeve because you were going to do it exactly the same way you did the first one. So exactly the same way. You were going to start with the same color. I mean, unless you really totally wanted it to be different. You could do every single row a different color if you wanted. But for what I'm doing, I'm starting in exactly the same way. And then I'm going to come up and I'm going to do exactly the same number of rows. So I'm going to start with my gray, and I'm going to do one above my gray. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then after I've done 10 rows, my 10 row will be my gray. And this is just kind of like how I'm doing mine. However you did yours, you want to count the same way. I ended with my gray, and then I split my stitches here. So I had 2 feet instead of just 1 foot, and then I started working my rows, and then however many rows you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you would do the exact same number so that you ended up with the same color and the same edge. And then you could do 1 or 2 things at this point. I'm going to try my hardest to finish my second sleeve today, so that we can stitch it together tomorrow and do an edge around it. So I will work this one up so that it looks like this on the top, and then we can do 1 or 2 ways. I mean, we can do, we can stitch it up with, and I'll go over all these different ways and I'll just kind of do them and rip them out so that you can see the different ways that we can stitch it together. But we can stitch it together with the pink, with a stitch. We can stitch together with the pink with just like a whip stitch. We can slip it together, or we can stitch them together with a join as you go stitch, like I do with my granny bags. You can do the same thing in gray. You can stitch it together with like a mattress stitch with the gray, which doesn't make sense because the mattress stitch is meant to disappear. But you could like whip stitch it so that you had the stitching down the center with the gray, or you could do a join as you go, so you had like, this is wide, this is less, and then even less in the center. You would have like a small, just an even smaller section of gray. If you did like a join as you go stitch or a whip stitch in gray before the rest of it. So there's lots of options for me to try and pull apart tomorrow, which is going to be pretty much finishing it. And then we'll decide how we want to do around the edges to finish it off. At the very least, I would do a row of single crochet across my edges. You could do single crochet in the peacocks like we did with the other one. Lots of things to think about at that point. But at this point, we're just getting to the top, the center. So this comes straight down the center in the back. And yeah, that was a quick one today. I'm going to do 1 more row of cats if anybody has any questions on my next sleeve. And I have to be out of here this morning for a few minutes. So after I do this round of cats, I'm going to call it a morning. And this is my sleeves, so I'm just going to, some mornings I have to be out the door. Not usually for long, but, and then do my, so what do you guys think? Hey Janie, welcome back. Pam, welcome back. You guys bouncing in and out. That's okay, I'm glad you come back. Aw, thank you. That's so cute. Thank you. So we'll see. We'll finish up the other side and put it together and see what it looks like. This looks really neat. Thanks. It's, you know, you just kind of have to go for it sometimes when you're thinking about something you want to do. And I say it all the time. You know, I need, you know, my Princess Frog hat. I think maybe I'll make myself one of those. Because I'm like the frog queen. You just kind of have to go for it. You just kind of have to try and not be afraid to rip it out. And you guys have seen me make granny squares where every single strand is still attached to my skein because I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it that way or not. I mean, you're going to be more happy with it if you're doodling. You're going to be more happy with your doodling if you accept the ripping out as part of the beginning process. Now, when you're halfway through a project and you just make a goofy counting mistake, yeah, then I get frustrated too. But part of the like creating process, sometimes it's fun to just rip it out and see what something else looks like, and rip it out and see what something else looks like. And you end up with something that you like if you do it that way, instead of something that you're not really too sure if you're happy with. So in the beginning of that process, don't be afraid to yank those, to pull those strings. Pull it apart. And just play with it. Because that's how you're going to end up with the look that you want, the style that you want, the color scheme that you want. I'm a very visual person, so I would much rather put it together and look at it and rip it apart as I'm like doing that beginning of that process, than to look at it at the end and go, I don't know if I'm really happy with that. I mean, ultimately, no matter what you make, if you sell things, if you do markets, I have found that ultimately, no matter what you make, you can throw it on your table, and there is a buyer for just about anything. You just have to wait till they come along. You know, that's, my dad will look at his art and he'll say, "Oh, I can't believe somebody bought this." I'm like, "Dad, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to be visually attractive to somebody else." "I guess so," he'll say. But it's absolutely the truth. And not just visually attractive, but like the texture or the feel of something on your body. You know, I could make this in this stitch and it could sit there for a long time and everybody would walk past it. I could make this stitch in the same thing, in the same stitch with a totally different textured yarn, and somebody's going to pick up both of those, and one's going to be more appealing to the other. And it could very well be the one that I don't like. So everybody has different tastes. You kind of have to keep that in mind when you're making things, because if it looks right and it looks nice and it looks the way you want it to, but you're not quite sure that you like the way you wanted it to look, if it's still going to be a pretty finished piece, I would still make it. You know, this is still a pretty finished piece. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to wear it, or if I'm going to put it on my table. Either way, I either have a piece that everybody's going to like, or I have a piece that only one person will like. But sometimes that one person counts. Actually, all the time that one person counts, because we all count. And we should all feel that way about ourselves. We all count. All right. First row of this cat round. See, this is what I mean when I was explaining that you're always going to decrease and increase stitches, because when I'm working around this one, I'm always doing my shell, which gives me my 5 stitches, And then I'm doing a leg in between, which gives me a 6th stitch. So I'm actually doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 multiples of 6 when I do the leg round. But then when I do the head round, I'm just doing a shell and a shell. So I start with my first half of my shell, just how I have always done things. So I'm actually skipping over top of that leg, and I'm just working my shell on top of my shell. And then I'm going to go to the next one. So I'm kind of like decreasing over top of this, like I'm ignoring that extra stitch we put in there every time I do a round. You know, here's my 5 stitches for my shell. I'm ignoring the stitch we put here, and I'm just going to do my shell stitch there again. And that's part of the pattern, because that's kind of what helps draw the head together for the ears. So my shell on my shell, my shell on my shell. This is an extra stitch, and I'm going to put my shell on my shell. She sells seashells by the seashore. I had to think about that and say that slowly. Oh, is Liz here? I didn't see her jump in. I have to apologize when I don't see you guys jump in, because I would hope you know me by now. I'm in my own little world. I love you guys and love it when you guys are here, but sometimes, yes, it is. It is at the end of the month. And nobody needs to know how old I am, but I will still say that I am. Yours was the 6th. Mine's the 28th. I'm still in the 50-ish range. I agree. Happy belated birthday. I'm still in the 50-ish range. And that's about as far as I'm going with that. It's the 19th. Oh, cool. Isn't it fun? We have like a live full of they're all in May. Yeah, there's a lot of birthdays in my family in May. How cool is that? We've got like my little group here. It's a whole bunch of Geminis. Actually, was early in May considered Gemini, or is that considered Taurus? Or is that something else? I don't know. I'm not 100% certain of them all. You're a Taurus. Okay, that's what I thought after I thought about that. I'm a Gemini. My husband's a Gemini. My oldest son is a Gemini. My father is a Gemini. I'm trying to think of who else is Geminis in our family. And I think that's why we all get along, because we either love each other or hate each other. And when we love each other, we stick together. And when we hate each other, we just kind of stay away from each other. And then, yeah, it all works out. Maybe I'll make a bag that matches this and hang it in my booth. My bag and my shrug here. I haven't decided yet. See, I like stuff like this. The problem is, I can like it and want to keep it. But a lot of times, like, it will just sit there and I'll never wear it. I just made it because I liked it and wanted to make it. So I have to sit down and have a discussion with myself and decide whether this is going to be something I am truly going to use and wear, or if this is one of those things that I really love it, but I know I'm never going to wear it. Not because I don't like it enough to wear it, or I don't like the colors enough to wear it, or I don't like the style enough to wear it. I'm not always a sweater person. So even though like I really like it and would want to hoard it, I have to like seriously ask myself, am I really going to wear this piece? And sometimes I go, I don't care if I'm going to wear this piece. I'm keeping it anyway. And sometimes I go, this is ridiculous. I'm getting too many pieces sitting around the house that I know I'm not going to wear that I just like. And the last round of that cap is finished. Cut it off. Start with my gray. Alright guys, that's been about an hour. I like to stay on for at least an hour. So that is part 3. We have finished the top of our shrug. Not the top. The top of our sleeve, the center of our back. So tomorrow we can stitch it together. I am going to be diligent about trying to finish this sleeve here so that I can. Oh, you're welcome so much, Cindy. I'm glad you guys stay and join me. You guys make me happy. You really do. I hope you can tell that. You do make me happy. I am going to be very diligent about trying to... Thank you. It was a good live. Thank you, Pam. I appreciate that. Finishing this so that tomorrow can be stitching it together and our finishing. And if I do manage to get that, maybe I'll take Friday off from teaching and just kind of sit here and get caught up on some of my stuff. Like I'll still jump on in the morning and crochet and be chatty, but it won't be like a tutorial that I upload to YouTube. So maybe I'll consider that for Friday. Maybe that'll be my motivation to get this done so that I can actually finish the tutorial tomorrow. Wish me luck. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for joining. I really do appreciate you guys. You like the color of my lipstick? I'll find out what it is, and then I'll let you know later on today when I'm out here crocheting. I know I'm just about positive it's like the color CoverGirl, like the extended stuff. Later. It's the CoverGirl extended stuff, like the 24-hour wear or something like that. But I don't know the exact color, so I'll bring it out and I'll bring that out later. I'll sit it here on my desk. Or later ask me and I'll go get it. Although it'll be like half eaten off by then, I'm sure. But anyway, alright guys, enjoy the rest of your morning. For those of you that missed it and want to see it, parts 1 and 2, and then this was part 3. Will be uploaded to YouTube. This whole live that I've done on TikTok. And that's the playlist / podcast that I upload them to. So if you want to see parts 1 and 2 of the tutorial, they're already uploaded. Part 3 will probably be uploaded sooner than later because it was only about an hour or so. So it won't take as much time for TikTok to process the live video so that I can upload it. Yeah, if you like what you see, go subscribe. I'm up to 300 subscribers on YouTube. I'm so excited. Hopefully by the time people are watching this, at one point they can look back and go, oh my god, she's got like so many more. I hope so. Anyway, have a good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Thanks.